Tonight, crisis at the border. Migrants face the dangerous journey north over mountains and through jungles, even as thousands of children remain in U.S. detention facilities. And nearly 1 year into the pandemic,
we're going to keep the focus on it.
The COVID relief bill is primed to target small businesses. Plus, it's a life-changing event. But very few parents who work can take paid leave after the birth of a child.
Is this a conservative issue?
Why that may be changing. And the presidential dog goes from the White House to the doghouse. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. The Biden administration forced to confront immigration front and center. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup.
And I'm Jenna Browder. Tonight, a fresh surge of migrants on the southern border is verging on crisis, especially the increasing number of children now in custody. More than 3,200 minors are in holding facilities, most of them detained in just the last 2 weeks. This week, officials are expected to announce some staggering numbers, including nearly 100,000 detentions at the border in February alone. This as a flood of migrants are moving north from Central America in hopes that President Biden's policies will make it easier to enter the country.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration is offering a temporary reprieve to several 100,000 people from the South African nation of Venezuela who are already in the United States. The White House is also reviewing sanctions imposed under President Trump in order to force Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to hold free and fair elections. The new rule means some 320,000 Venezuelans who fled their country's economic collapse can apply for temporary protected status and would be eligible to live and work in the United States for 18 months.
Well, it is a treacherous and dangerous journey for many of these migrants, John, and it's also big business for thieves and smugglers.
That's right. CBN contributor Chuck Holton made the most dangerous part of their trek himself in an attempt to follow migrants across some 60 miles of mountainous Panamanian jungle, traveling from a Colombian port city through what's known as the Darien Gap. Then it's on through thousands more miles overland to the U.S.-Mexican border. For more now, here's Chuck.
Hundreds of migrants arrive every day, already exhausted from their journey, many with small children in tow. Many left their home countries years ago, looking for a better life. But now they believe it's time to try their luck at getting to the United States. The northward flow has all but stopped since last March when the pandemic hit. And most countries in Latin America still have COVID restrictions in place. But with a new American administration widely seen as welcoming all comers, the pressure to fill the human pipeline has become too great. And a pent-up surge of humanity is now again looking to make it to America's shores. Most migrants who join the well-publicized caravans start from Central America, but the pipeline starts much further south. People are coming from all across the globe, ostensibly fleeing violence and oppression. But they often pass through a dozen or so non-violent countries on their way to the United States, like this Sikh man from India.
India to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Suriname, Suriname to by bus Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, Ecuador to Colombia.
In this group, we found migrants from Turkey, Nepal, India, and Africa, though the biggest number were from Haiti. That will require trekking through the forbidding Darien Gap between Colombia and Panama. I spent 2 days trying to catch up with some of these migrants as they traverse this very dangerous area without much success. I've been walking the Darien Gap Trail now for over an hour, up and down these hills. It's incredibly hot. I feel like I've been standing in a warm shower. It's just kind of hard to even describe how miserable it is, and I'm unencumbered. Imagine being out here with a baby or pregnant or even in a wheelchair. I've seen all three of those things with the migrants in the last 24 hours. They're actually doing that. And it's because they have no idea. The smugglers that bring them through here lie to them about how long this is and how difficult this is. And that's why many of them end up dying along the way. I found this smuggler, but he refused to take me to where the migrants were in the jungle. He said they are well cared for.
They're privileged, and we never treated them badly. It's only 4 days to the camps in Panama.
After 2 days of searching, I finally found the right place. But then I was immediately surrounded by angry smugglers. These migrants are starting their hike now, but the smugglers are telling me I can't go any further. They're telling me I can't go any further here, and they're telling me I got to leave. They don't want me filming this. They obviously don't want this story coming out. So, entonces, está bien, está bien. Está bien, está bien, está bien. Okay, sí, está bien, está bien, está bien. As the threats became more intense, it was clearly time to leave. So I caught a ride with a teenager on a motorbike. And that's when I realized why the smugglers don't want this story to get out. More than 10,000 migrants will likely pass through this tiny village this year. It's big business, which is why all the guides tend to have a brand new motorcycle. From Copargana, Colombia, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
An important story to tell. I'm glad Chuck got out of there okay. Well, President Joe Biden plans to sign the American Rescue Act into law this week with the goal of getting checks out to the American people by month's end.
Yeah, but not all Biden supporters are pleased with the Democrats' long-awaited $1.9 trillion relief plan. CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson joins us now for more on why one group of Biden voters say they feel betrayed. Abigail.
That's right, John and Jenna. Well, there's a lot packed into the nearly $2 trillion relief plan. Noticeably absent is the Hyde Amendment. Now, this is a measure that's been included in budget packages for almost 4 decades and prevents federal funds from paying for abortions.
It was a signal that the extreme wing within the Democratic Party is really determining the agenda.
Dr. Richard Mao, spokesperson for the pro-life evangelicals for Biden coalition, tells CBN News they were shocked to learn Hyde was left out.
We felt betrayed by the fact that, furthermore, they did not give us a heads up on this. There was no sense of accountability to evangelicals and Catholics who took a lot of risks in saying publicly that they were going to vote for Mr. Biden.
The pro-life group says they had significant talks with the Biden campaign, but not with the administration.
Some of the things that Mr. Biden has said have been very moving, but at the same time, some of his actions seem to go against that.
Republican lawmakers are criticizing Democrats for not working with them on a bipartisan relief bill.
I think a lot of people have a concern that Speaker Pelosi took advantage of the crisis to fill the bill with primarily things that have nothing to do with COVID that should have been discussed separately.
The bill includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals earning up to $75,000 per year, $300 per week in federal unemployment benefits, and it expands the child tax credit to $3,000 per child, or $3,600 for each kid under the age of 6.
People won't have to wait months and months and months. It'll be right in their pocket.
On Tuesday, President Biden visited a small business that received a loan from the Paycheck Protection Program.
400,000 small businesses went out of business. They got in line, but they couldn't get the help. And we found out that an awful lot of that went to bigger businesses that, in fact, weren't supposed to qualify for this.
Now, almost a year into the global pandemic, the CDC is issuing new guidance that fully vaccinated people can gather in small groups without wearing masks. This comes as many states, including Texas, plan to lift their mask mandates, and Texas also plans to fully reopen businesses at 100% capacity. Back to you, John and Jenna.
All right, Abigail Robertson, thank you very much. I think that is tomorrow that Texas plans to do that. Meanwhile, Missouri Senator Roy Blunt is the latest in a long list of Republican senators not running for re-election next year. Blunt made his announcement in a video message on his YouTube page. Republican senators Rob Portman, Pat Toomey, Richard Shelby, and Richard Burr also announced their retirements, leaving Democrats a chance to expand their Senate majority in the 2022 midterm elections.
Well, Missouri Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer joins us now. He is the ranking member of the House Small Business Committee. Congressman, welcome to Faith Nation. It's always nice to have a fellow Missourian join us. You tweeted your thanks to Senator Blunt for his service. Have you had a chance to talk to him about his decision? And a quick follow-up, how might his exit shake up Missouri's 2022 Senate race?
Well, thank you for having me. I have not had a chance to talk to the senator personally. We've been playing phone tag, trying to connect with each other. Yeah, I'm excited about him. It's disappointing. He's done a great job. He's been a great son of Missouri. He's been very effective. He's one of the most effective and hardest working legislators here in Washington, D.C., and we're very proud to have him represent Missouri. But from his standpoint, if he's wanting to move on, he's still young enough, good enough health. He can do all sorts of things later on in the rest of his life, and I wish him the best. But we're going to miss him, I can tell you, from having worked with him on a daily basis for 12 years now. He is a hard worker and a very effective voice for our state.
Congressman, with 60 million Americans at least partially vaccinated at this point, states, are starting to ditch their mask mandates. Some are allowing businesses to reopen 100% capacity. How much do you think this will help businesses and the overall economy rebound?
Oh, it's huge. It's ginormous. I mean, this is going to enable us to get back to normal, as you just said. To me, we can all the different programs that we put in place, the PPP program, the EIDL grants, and I think there's a restaurant program in this latest iteration here of help for our small businesses are all great, and they're going to help them get from where they were, which is struggling and basically almost getting ready to go out of business, to where they can be back up and running again. But the key to all of this is not all the money that we're putting out here for them to get them across there. The key is to get them back in business and up and running again, and that has to be the end of the lockdowns. And that, if you end the lockdowns and the vaccination programs are successful here, we'll be back to normal pretty quickly. I know the CBO believes by midsummer things will be wide open. By end of the year, they anticipate unemployment rate to be down a little over 5% and a 3.5% GDP growth for the year. So I think, that's very realistic. I think there's a number of doctors out there now that believe by the end of April, by getting vaccinations in the 1.8 to 2 million per day that they're going at the rate they're getting at right now, we'll be able to get the immunization factor up as well as the herd immunity up to the point where we can reopen and we can stop these lockdowns. Kids can go back to school. When we get our economy going back, as long as this administration doesn't, rescind the tax cuts and go back and rescind all the rules and regulations that the Trump administration cut, that's what's underpinning our economy right now. And that can continue to help us grow the economy once we get out of this pandemic. But if they go back and they raise taxes and they go back to this regulatory regime we had during the Biden or the Obama administration, it's going to struggle. And then all bets are off at that point.
Congressman, we only have a few seconds left, but real quickly, President Biden visited a D.C. hardware store to highlight the administration's changes to the Paycheck Protection Program. Yet, as we understand it, the loan application period winds down at the end of the month, and the relief package only adds about $7 billion in additional funding. Should there be more in this bill?
Well, I think, we're doing about $2 billion a day is going out the door for the program. And quite frankly, it ends at the end of this month, and we're probably going to have money left over. In spite of in addition to the $7 billion. So the decision has to be made, and we're going to have a hearing on that this week, whether we need to extend it and how much to extend it for.
All right, Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer of Missouri, thank you so much. It's good to have you on with us this evening.
My pleasure. Good to be with you guys.
Thank you.
Well, after a stall on Monday, jury selection began today in the George Floyd murder trial. Former officer Derek Chauvin charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter after the infamous knee-on-neck video that circulated the globe. Attorneys are working to question 14 potential jurors a day until they can see what they consider to be the most impartial jury possible. It's not an easy task considering the high-profile nature of the case. Because of COVID restrictions, only one family member for each side is allowed to be in the courtroom. George Floyd's sister is there and says she has one thing on her mind.
Justice. 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 That's what's important, and nobody would ever forget his name. Nobody.
And jury selection was delayed yesterday because of prosecutors. They filed a motion with an appeals court to add third-degree murder to Chauvin's list of charges.
When we come back, what a Supreme Court ruling means for Christian students and free speech.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
And welcome back. The school at the center of a Supreme Court ruling is responding tonight. Jenna, they're saying that it supports First Amendment rights.
In an 8-1 decision Monday, the High Court sided with a Georgia Gwinnett College student who was blocked from expressing his religious views in a free speech zone on campus. Speaking before the decision, the attorney arguing the case said 90% of colleges have restrictive speech policies. The Supreme Court has rightly said in the
violate someone's constitutional rights.
And here with us now is for more Robert Shilby, Executive Director of the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, also known as FIRE. Robert, thank you for joining us this evening. Let's just start right there. What does this Supreme Court ruling mean for free speech on college campuses around the country?
It's a great development for free speech on campuses, and that's because campuses are a little bit unique in that college students are only there for 4 or 5 years, generally speaking. And so often when their rights are abused, as Chike Iwebunam's rights were abused here, they actually graduate before they can actually get all the way through to the end of a court case. For instance, in this case, the events where they tried to prevent him from passing out religious literature in a free speech zone happened in 2016. Now only in 2021 have we gotten all the way through the Supreme Court. He's been out of college for a long time. Because students are gone, what happens is colleges will often make the argument that, well, this is now moot. The court can no longer determine an outcome for this case because the person is no longer there for this to affect them. And so it's sort of a loophole that the Supreme Court has now closed.
Robert, the Constitution explicitly protects freedom of speech and freedom of religion in the First Amendment. So why did this case in particular go all the way? How did it reach the Supreme Court?
Well, the plaintiff in this case actually lost at the district level. He lost at the circuit court level. And so when the Supreme Court took it up, many people were surprised that they would pick this because it is a fairly seemingly small issue of law. It's not a big name case, or at least it wasn't until it was taken up and decided. But I think it's because the Supreme Court was ready to make that determination that your free speech rights and other constitutional rights, even if it doesn't cost you money, even if you didn't put out some amount of money to and that was taken away by the government's action, is still something that could be vindicated in court. And there's not just going to be some way around it when colleges, when state universities or other state entities decide to either change the rules so you're no longer in violation, or you just happen to move on from your life. So I think that's why the Supreme Court took it up, and it was an 8-1 decision. So not particularly controversial, except with Chief Justice Roberts.
Just real quickly, about 30 seconds left here, but why did Chief Justice John Roberts, why was he the lone voice of dissent?
His concern seemed to be that if you were allowed to bring these cases without an amount of money that you can say that you lost, and therefore that the court could restore to you, that would open the floodgates to all kinds of federal lawsuits where there's no pecuniary, there's no easy monetary damage, only what they call nominal damages. It remains to be seen whether or not that's true.
We are out of time, so sorry, Robert. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks for having me.
And when we come back, not all parents get to take paid time off after the birth of a baby. Why that might be changing.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Welcome back. It is estimated that the pandemic has forced more than 1 million women from the workforce to care for their children who are now homeschooled. This also happens to many moms and dads with the birth of a newborn baby.
Yeah, and very few get that time off paid to help with the transition to family life. As CBN's Jennifer Wishon reports, that could soon change because both parties agree some federal paid leave is needed.
Having a baby is life-changing, something I know well. And it can be a rough change because only 19% of workers have access to paid family leave after the birth or adoption of a child. And for low-wage workers, that number drops to 9%.
That means nearly a quarter of new moms return to work within just 10 days after having a baby, a necessity that often leads to health problems, depression, and prevents moms from bonding with their babies. Dads tend to go back even sooner.
And some of the new studies have shown how fathers, and they also, when they're home those first few weeks, produce this love hormone that women also produce called oxytocin that creates this super strong bond.
A bond, studies show, leads to dads being more involved, which leads to higher cognitive scores for their kids. With paid leave, mothers are about 40% less likely to go on public assistance and food stamps. And get this, paid leave has been shown to literally save lives.
10 weeks of paid leave is associated with a 10% drop in infant mortality.
I mean, think about that even the rate at which children survived and thrived their earliest months of life was tied to the presence of their mothers.
This week, Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer are receiving a letter from some unlikely conservative and pro-life allies. It says the lack of a federal policy creates an impossible situation for families. 44% of Americans cannot cover an unexpected $400 emergency, meaning a new child is often a financial catastrophe.
Is this a conservative issue?
Oh, absolutely. You know, as a pro-life community, you know, we care about life. We care about the dignity of all life before a baby is born. So we should care about the baby as much after the baby is born. And so to me, you know, this is totally consistent with our worldview.
Coming up, why the first dogs were banished from the White House to the doghouse.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, four, three, two, one. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances. I'll give you my best praise. Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to cbn.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Finally tonight, some sad news here. The Bidens' 2 German Shepherds were sent back to the family's home in Delaware after a bit of an incident last week, Jenna.
Yeah, the 3-year-old rescue named Major bit a White House security agent and had built up quite a reputation in the short time he lived at the White House. Major is the first rescue dog to live in the White House since he and his 13-year-old brother were inaugurated in January. A fan page called the Oval Pawfis put out a statement on Major's behalf. Fans of the rescue were calling the incident a political hit job and maintaining Major's innocence until he is able to return. Hopefully he'll be a little happier in Delaware. All right, have a great night, everybody.